right, let's take a look at the dailies, and of course we start off with the regional ones, and the East African is top. US eyes control of DR Congo minerals. That's a big story on the front page of the East African this morning, and this is a weekly paper though. Washington says profiteers and smugglers are exploiting uncertainties of supply chains in the DRC. And now it says it is planting transparency as a code among its allies, the US and its interests in the East African region, especially when it comes to the minerals, given a lot of prominence on pages 4 and 5 of the East African. You can read a lot about this because, yes, why is the US so interested in DRC, in the East African region, and about the minerals? You remember even the feud between Rwanda, Paul Kagame, and Felix Tshisekedi.
Yes.
The peace deal was brokered in the US. Why is the US so concerned about this?
Yeah.
If you're interested in matters regional, I think the East African has some very interesting stories. Ruto back to Addis once AU reformed. Yes, he was there last week. That's President William Ruto. And President William Ruto also on the front page again, this time round with Princess Zara, who was in Kenya. And she's been awarded now the Elder of the Order of the Golden Heart, EGH, at State House, Nairobi, on February 13th. That was on Friday. So yes, President Ruto here and there on the front page of the East African this morning. All right.
Let's cross over to Uganda now. We start off with the Daily Monitor. The main story here is about the killing at the Uganda Christian University, how police tracked key suspect. It's a trail, and they say detectives tracked the deceased and the suspect's phones for 2 days, tracing him to Budaka district. There he was found peeling cassava alongside his mother. The suspect, Hussein Taiwaiko, had worked at Pamela Tumwebazi's home for 3 years until his departure last December. Now, Pamela Tumwebazi, as the dean, was killed last week.
I find that this headline a bit presumptive. Okay, it's a suspect. He's not convicted yet.
Yeah.
So, you know, people assume that if you've committed murder, probably on the run somewhere. But then if you find someone peeling cassava, does he really look like a murderer? Not a suspect.
Yes.
Remember, he's still a suspect up until now.
Yeah.
So they've just tracked the main suspect. Whether or not he's the person who actually committed the crime, the investigations are still on.
Innocent till proven guilty.
Yes. Right.
That's the main story on the front page of the Daily Monitor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the new vision still in Uganda. Top schools by region, and they're still continuing ranking schools following their primary level exams. Traditional schools bounce back, and they have a list there of about enough schools across the country. Also top students from across the regions. Remember, in Uganda, matters education and ranking of schools, teachers, subjects, performance is big news. So that is what the new vision goes with.
All right, let's cross over now to Bongo, the Citizen. Medicines, poison, or just business? Rise of traditional remedies. That's the main story on the front page of the Citizen. Traditional medicines are not only holding the ground in some areas, they are flourishing at a pace that is difficult to ignore. I think everyone is using traditional medicine.
Even in Kenya, you've realized that people are now going for herbal, some powders, some roots.
Marubaini and all that.
Ashwagandha.
Ashwagandha. Yes. Now they say the public often assumes that all herbs medicine shops are registered and safe, which is not necessarily the case. Some remedies may contain harmful substances, incorrect dosages, or contaminants. This is according to Dr. Clemens Mushi, pharmacist and clinical researcher in Tanzania.
Something that should be noted, and I think this is a question we need to ask even in Kenya, the difference between medication and supplements.
Yes.
Because we may think there's something about traditional medicine, but there are natural supplements to things. So probably something we need to clarify on there.
All right. Once again, the question they're asking, is this just business, or is it medicine, or is it poison? Property and land. Why diaspora feels disadvantaged? Another story here on the front page. New import curbs position Tanzania to grow local industry. Capital crunch across Africa puts startups to the edge. That's the Citizen.
Right. Crossover still in Tanzania, gazeti la Mwananchi, habari ile ile ya utitiri maduka ya tiba asili. Swali lile lile ni dawa, sumu au biashara. Liko kwenye ukurasa wa mbele. Sio habari kuu pale, lakini imepewa kipaumbele. Kuna jambo lisilo la kawaida linaloendelea katika miji mikuu ya Tanzania. Ongezeko la kasi la maduka ya dawa za asili. Hali hii inajitokeza wakati ambapo nchi imekuwa ikipiga hatua kubwa katika huduma za afya za kisasa. Lakini pale wametumia bango moja ya tiba za magonjwa kama ya nguvu za kiume. You've seen that. Mshipa wa ngiri, kaswende sugu, kisonono na mapenzi. Hapa sasa hatuna hakika ni tiba, ni dawa za kiasili ama ni ushirikina. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa pili wa gazeti hili la Mwananchi. Lakini habari kuu pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Mwananchi ni Wasira ataja makundi ya kusaka maridhiano. Mahojiano maalum na huyu aliyekuwa mwenyekiti wa CCM bara. Anasema ataja wajibu wa serikali, agusia jamii zilizopoteza ndugu, mali, waliopata ulemavu yaliyotokea Oktoba 29. Asema hakuna kesi za kisiasa nchini, asisitiza hakuna haki bila amani. There's no justice without peace.
Yes, this is the deputy CCM, deputy party leader.
Makamu mwenyekiti CCM.
Yes.
Yeah. Habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Mwananchi.
All right, let's cross over now and take a look at the local dailies. We start off with Taifa Leo. Kimeumana ODM, kimenuka wanasema. Mkutano wa Sifuna maarufu kama Linda Mwananchi uliovutia umati mkubwa ulivurugwa kwa vitoza machozi na ghasia, huku kinara wa ODM Oburu aliyeongoza hafla ya Linda Ground eneo la Tononoka akisisitiza kuwa katibu wa chama hicho ni Catherine Omanyo wala si Sifuna aliyemtaja kama katibu wa mahakama, quote and quote. Kundi la Sifuna laandaa mkutano uliotibuliwa kule Kitengela, mrengo wa Oburu ukifanya hafla sambamba kule Mombasa. And you can see this photo here on the front page. This is a massive crowd. The one that was there in Kitengela.
The intention by the editors on this paper was to put the picture from Tononoka against the picture from Kitengela.
Yeah.
Of course, now attracting you and drawing you to draw a comparison between the two. Yes.
Wewe tuambie.
Wewe mwenyewe jijibu, sisi hatusemi ni nani. Wewe angalia picha zenyewe. Wahariri pale Taifa Leo ameweka picha zote mbili pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele.
Ujiamulie. Kenya yamaliza ya 3, Nairobi Sevens ni habari nyingine. Hapo Ujerumani waongoza katika raga hiyo ya dunia iliyofanyika Kenya kwa mara ya kwanza this weekend. Ole Lenku na Nkedianye macho kwa useneta mwaka 2027. Anasema gavana Lenku anamaliza muhula wake wa pili, hivyo hawezi kuwania tena. Kindiki asema hatishwi na kelele za chura. Mimi ndio nani? Mimi ndio deputy president.
Now that reintroduces, you remember now Dr. Oburu Oginga went back and said he had been misquoted.
Yes.
That his earlier assertion that they were not going for DP Kindiki's seat was actually a misquote.
Yes.
So now he says they're going for it. So it has brought up a new debate, and we'll be looking at that. It is part of our conversation this morning.
All right.
The competition for the number 2 slots. Yeah.
Mjadala umezuka kuhusu hatima ya wadhifa wa Kindiki baada ya ODM kusema inataka kiti hicho mwaka ujao. Waislamu watofautiana kuhusu tarehe ya Ramadan. Tofauti zazuka baada ya ushauri wafuatilie mwezi usiku wa Jumanne. Now Ramadan and the Lenten season starts this week. Yeah. So Eid and
it's going to
Easter
be a very
will be around the same time.
I like that environment, especially when both, because they are the 2 major religions in Kenya, when they go all for the next 1 month.
Yeah.
And both the Catholics and other Christians as well as the Muslims go into fasting and all this.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting period.
It is.
Yes.
Njaa hali si hali kaskazini mashariki, maelfu ya wakazi hasa Mandera na Marsabit na hata Kwale hatarini kuangamia kwa njaa na ukame. Gazeti la Taifa Leo.
All right. Let's take a look at the Star this morning, and the Star talks about pensioners to retire with millions in new NSSF savings system. This is just one of the big headline there, but of course the big story is still on Sifuna. And they have pictures there of thousands attending Sifuna's rally amid chaos and tear gas, and Sifuna holding a flag atop a vehicle in Kitengela on Saturday. This was a big ODM ousted Secretary General Sifuna, James Orengo, Saboti MP, Caleb Amisi, and Embakasi East MP, Babu Owino, among other leaders. Now this is interesting because back in the 90s, Orengo was in the same spot, still on top of vehicles during the clamor for multi-party democracy. He was not with these young people. He was with people who are now considered old, others have already died.
Yeah.
Martin Shikuku, people like Kijana Wamalwa, people like Gitobu Imanyara, who are no longer on the front page is no longer on the forefront in as far as politics is concerned. But Orengo is there. He was there back then, he's still there now. And I think one of the cartoons has made mention of that. But the big story away from Sifuna is pensioners to retire with millions in new NSSF savings system. Remember that starting this February, if at all you have a pay slip, you'll realize that the NSSF deduction has gone up significantly.
108,000.
Yes. So now employees earning over 108,000 will save at least 155,000 per year, which is huge.
Yes.
Previously, we were saving a paltry amount. And the promise is that once you retire, I had someone calculate that a person who gets into employment at 20 and contributes consistently until you turn 60 and you retire, you'll end up with about 35 million shillings in pension savings, which is significant.
That's good money.
Yeah, that's good money, 35 million shillings at retirement. But wale wazee, wamepitwa na wakati. Anyway.
Wale wa 50,000 and below, don't worry, no need to panic.
There's a story on the inside pages that this one we cannot ignore, and this one is on page 22 of the Star. Yes, this is a human interest story.
Yes.
It has to do with what people are doing. Youth fear baby boom more than infections amidst condom crisis. So they say that there's only 150 million condoms currently available, but that does not worry many people. So they're not using condoms, but their problem is not
pregnancies.
No, the problem is not infections. It is a pregnancy. Because for pregnancy now, they have alternatives.
Yes.
They can use birth control pills and all that. But condoms, iyo shida yao kubwa, sio pregnancy, shida ni STI. Yes. No, shida ni STI, sio pregnancy.
Yes. No rubbers, no worries. Kenyan youth fear baby boom, not infections.
Yes.
So they're okay with having STIs?
They are okay. They don't care about STIs.
Yes.
They don't care about STIs. Bora tu mtoto asikuje.
Interesting.
So that's a problem there. That's on page 22. It's kind of confusing.
Yes.
All right. That's the Star.
Long live the king. How taste traditions continue to influence governance. Let's take a look at the Daily Nation now. Starving amid plenty crisis. Official data shows 810,000 children face acute malnutrition. It is a national disaster, and they say a tale of two Kenyans has emerged, with thousands staring at death due to famine ravaging parts of the country, particularly northern Kenya, where emaciated Kenyans and dying livestock should prick the conscience of a nation that is carrying on with business as usual. Now, officials say an estimated 3.3 million people across 16 counties are facing starvation, yet in some other regions such as Mount Kenya and Eastern, a gluten production has food rotting away on farms or being fed to livestock. The irony of life. And this story has been covered on 5 pages. The front page, page 2, 3, 4, and 5. We are not talking much about the northern Kenya. That's what this story is about.
So there's a glut in some of the markets, especially in areas where are considered food baskets for Kenya, in Nakuru. The picture they've used on the front page is the market in Nakuru, where we have a lot of tomatoes. There's actually a glut of this product. Market prices have really gone down. Meanwhile, people in some areas of northeastern province, or northern Kenya have no food. There's that story again, away from this one.
Yeah.
Pale juu lazima, they would have made mention of the Orange Showdown. What happened in Tononoka vis-a-vis what happened in
Kitengela. On the inside pages, of course, they make mention of that drought story in the northern Kenya. When the rains fail, pastoralists watch their wealth turn to dust. Daily survival battle for hungry Marsabit learners. Tomatoes everywhere, no one to buy. Sasa wengine wako na plenty, wengine hawana anything at all. Stakeholders load education reform bills. That story about Kitengela tear gas, bullets in Kitengela as police disrupt Sifuna rally. Can you imagine tear gas even in such a rally? Maybe these Kenyans were just there to listen.
It reminds me that he's the only one who said, why are you tear gassing a bad? Why tear gas a bad?
Why are you tear gassing a bad? Tax paying, water, power, and basic services. On the back page, Kenya praised for staging a flawless world tournament. World Rugby Sevens Division 2 tournament now heads to Uruguay from March 21st to March 22. Home team Shujaa finished third overall behind Germany and the US of A. In football, Gor extend lead at the top of league standings. That's the Daily Nation this morning.
As far as football matters are concerned, remember at 8 a.m. this morning, Monday Blitz coming up. Duncan Mutua and Fred Arocho will be in studio. Do stand by for that. Let's take a look at another paper, and that's the People Daily, which still talks about what's happening in ODM. Is this the new force uniting to oust Ruto from power? And they have images there of this ODM luminaries. Interestingly, they're still including James Orengo. I think he's the only old face in this new face of ODM.
Yes.
Yeah. So they have Winnie Odinga, Babu Owino, Edwin Sifuna, Caleb Amisi, and of course kuna mzee pale, James Orengo. Amejipositioned in a very interesting way, away from the other older generation of politicians. Yeah. Interestingly, Peter Anyang' Nyong'o has remained very quiet, or at least a bit not involved in this back and forth. But that's a story. The only other story on the front page of the People Daily, and these are the two stories we're going to be talking about. ODM's demand for deputy president slot sparks rift in coalition talks. So as the coalition between ODM and UDA continues to gain traction, now the big point of discussion or bone of contention will be the number 2 slot as we come to the elections of 2027, who will be President William Ruto's running mate for the elections next year. This has elicited debate in the Mount Kenya region, with those people saying it has to be Kindiki. Now ODM says, hatukusema ati hatutaki, tunakuja. Yes. People Daily.
The Standard, the only story covered on the front page is Sifuna, and that crowd, that big crowd, the huge crowd
Sifuna
that was there. Sifuna, that huge crowd that was there at Kitengela. Sifuna roars. That's the headline on the front page of the Standard. Last kicks. The internal fracture in ODM, pitting interim leader Oburu Oginga against Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, played out in political rallies as the embattled SG yesterday drew humongous numbers in Kitengela, Kajiado, a sight that would excite even seasoned politicians. Now, 400 kilometers away at the coast, which is considered an ODM stronghold, Oburu was surrounded by a paltry crowd, leaving questions as to which side carries the true spirit of ODM, partly known for populism and crowd pulling. That's the only story on the front page of the Standard.
All right. You guys it again to Waksha.
Yeah, let's take a look at the Business Daily. I thought you wanted to...
Tunaambiwa tuko na back page.
Okay.
Tuko na back page of the Standard. What do we have on the back page? So they've drawn a comparison between what happened in Kitengela, and the back page is Oburu team limps. It's also the kind of comparison we've seen on the front page of Taifa Leo.
Yes.
So they show you what happened in Tononoka, what happened in Kitengela.
Yes.
So it's up to you to judge. I don't know why the editors have decided to do this. I feel like the media is also fueling this. Like, hii ndio ilikuwa Tononoka, hii ndio ilikuwa Kitengela. We angalia, jiangalie.
Amua. Sisi tunakuonyesha tu what happened, so you choose.
Alafu kuna mtu anauliza mbona Oburu ndo amewekwa back page.
All right, Business Daily is state in race against time to meet KPC's IPO sale target. The Treasury is betting on last-minute dash to raise 106.3 billion shillings from the sale of stake in Kenya Pipeline Company before the deadline on Thursday, as the initial public offering struggles to meet targets. Now, multiple top stockbrokers and investment banks reckon they have struggled to sell the state-owned pipeline company, especially among high-net-worth investors who have expressed interest but have failed to make payments for the shares. The 4 remaining days ahead of closure of the sale are therefore crucial for the success of what will be East Africa's biggest IPO in local currency terms. 4 of the top brokers who sought anonymity for fear of state reprisals said about 10% or nearly 11 billion shillings of the offer had been sold as the close of business on Thursday amid a split on the valuation of KPC. This is a very interesting story. It's a story on page 2.
All right.
NSE stocks make biggest one-week gain of ever at 220 billion shillings. On the ticker, US firm gets ultimatum on Nairobi-Mombasa Expressway project. IFES, that is International Finance Corporation, to buy 645 million shilling stake in e-motorbike company Arkride. And finally, CBK sees diaspora remittances sharing or reaching 676 billion shillings this year. That's the Business Daily.
Right, let's take a look at the cartoons this morning, and of course, quite a number talking about what's happening.